On the seventh Sunday of the season, we call to mind the purposes section of our Unitarian Universalist bylaws, which says, the purpose of the Unitarian Universalist Association is to actively engage its members in the transformation of the world through liberating love.
Please rise in body or spirit and join in our opening hymn, number 295 in the Gray Hymnal. Sing out praises for the journey.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Des Moines. My name is Heidi Levine. My pronouns are she and hers, and I am a member of the celebrant team. A special welcome to our visitors, and welcome as well to those joining us on Zoom. For those who are here with us in person, please make sure your cell phones are silenced, and for those on Zoom, keep your mics muted throughout the service. If you are here with children, there is childcare, or feel free to keep them seated with you or use our play area in the back. Our building is located on land that has been home to humans for 12,000 years, including the Iowa, Sauk, and Meskwaki. Other animals, such as the endangered Indiana bat, once roamed these lands in much greater numbers. As we entered this space, the ghosts of humans and other animals past are among us. We are called to join in the work of education, reparation, and healing for all species. Today is the seventh Sunday of summer. The moon was new this morning at 6:13 a.m. This last Thursday, August 1st, was Lammas on the Christian calendar, and this coming Friday, August 9th, will be the Hindu holiday of Nag Panchami, which is a traditional worship of Nagas, or, as we would say, snakes. Our purpose is to associate ourselves together for the study and practice of morality and religion as it interpreted by the growing thought and noblest lives of humanity, hoping thereby to prove helpful to one another and to promote truth, righteousness, and love in the world. This bond of union is reiterated in our mission to love radically, grow ethically and spiritually, and serve justly. It's a blessing you were born. It matters what you do. Your experience of the divine is true, and you don't have to go it alone. Our speaker this morning is our very own Bill Brauch, who will be sharing reflections on a faith journey which has taken him from fundamental Christianity to Unitarian Universalism. All are welcome to attend a forum inviting you into conversation about today's service, and the forum will begin 30 minutes after the service in Griffin Hall. On this seventh Sunday of the season, we dedicate our chalice lighting to liberating love. Please join me in the chalice lighting words from Walter Royal Jones in your order of service. Mindful of truth ever exceeding our knowledge, and community ever exceeding our practice, reverently we covenant together, beginning with ourselves as we are, to share the strength of integrity and the heritage of spirit in the unending quest for wisdom and love. Remaining seated, please join in the sung invocation, number 1013, Open My Heart.
That was short. There is an error in your order of service. This song was actually written by David Crosby's son, a fellow by the name of James Raymond. Driving out through the windmills, some of them were still. Sometimes it's hard to catch the wind and bend it to your will. Even though it's hard to know how the story ends, the road is long and it takes its time, on that you can depend. Lay me down in the river and wash this place away. Break me down like sand from a stone, maybe I'll be whole again one day. Lay me down, maybe I'll be whole again. Lay me down, maybe I'll be whole again one day. Somewhere between heaven and hell, the soul knows where it's been. I want to feel my spirit lifted up, catch my breath again. Some days I think I've seen the light, other days grow dim. Must I really find a God, put my faith in Him? Lay me down in the river and wash this place away. Break me down like sand from a stone, maybe I'll be whole again one day. Lay me down, maybe I'll be whole down, lay me down, maybe I'll be whole again. Lay me down, baby, I'll be whole again one day.
I'm Ellen Taylor. My pronouns are she, her. A church is not a building, but a community. As a community of human hands and human hearts, we come together to share our laughter and our tears, and to bear witness and minister to one another as we struggle with life's sorrows and celebrate life's joys. May we hold in our thoughts and prayers this week, besides suddenly losing her son recently, Deanna Carfrey has fallen and knocked the ball off the top of her humerus bone while visiting her sister in Minnesota. She will be having shoulder replacement surgery on August 13th. She said cards can be sent to her home here, and she plans to return for her son's memorial service on August 25th. And Tim Wilson is both excited by what lies ahead and sad to be leaving this beloved community. Tim began a new job on Friday as Director of Mission of CHUM in Duluth, Minnesota's largest provider of homeless services. He has been involved in addressing homelessness since 2009, when he ran a shelter in Cedar Rapids. CHUM provides housing, shelter, food, and other programs to thousands of unhoused individuals and families in Duluth and St. Louis County. It has a governance structure consisting of 40 faith congregations, including the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Duluth. Heidi will continue to be with us until moving to join Tim once their house in Indianola is sold. Tim has been a member of this congregation since he and Heidi joined in 2015. Please share now, either out loud or in the chat, the names of those you are holding in your hearts. May the care of this community uphold them all. May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May the work of our hands and hearts support, aid, and comfort all those who hunger or thirst for food or water, justice or freedom. May we never look away when we are needed. May those who are grieving be comforted. May those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed. May those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant.
These words for meditation are adapted from a centering practice by Lauren Wyeth. Take a few minutes to settle in and be centered. I invite you to get as comfortable as you're able. You may want to stretch or adjust how you're seated or shake out a little tension. Whatever you need, just give yourself a little bit more physical comfort if that's possible. I now invite you to notice a place inside of yourself that feels like a center, and just breathe with your attention there. You might notice the presence of love at this center. See if it's there, and breathe into it. With each in-breath, notice love at the center. I now invite you to notice the edge of the out-breath. Noticing love at the center of each in-breath, and then noticing the outer edge of each breath you release. You might bring your attention to your own edges, finding a boundary that marks the edge of you. Perhaps it's your skin. Maybe it's a bubble of energy surrounding you. Perhaps it's somewhere inside, closer to your center. Wherever you find that boundary is okay. Breathing in and noticing the center. Breathing out and noticing the boundary. Sometimes our boundaries want to be pulled in close for protection. Sometimes they want to be big and spacious and roomy. Both needs are real and deserve our respect. As you attend to your center and your edges now, you might use your breath to help mark the boundary that is right-sized for this moment. And take a few breaths there. And when you're ready, I invite you to come back to our shared space and to notice again who is here with you. Each of us an individual with their own center and boundaries. Each one a part of this larger collection of beloved companions. All of us part of the larger whole, with love at the center.
We now light 3 candles, one for the joys and sorrows shared, one for the names spoken, and one for all that remains unspoken, but present in our hearts. Let us observe a minute of silence.
Our first reading is from The Life and Morals of Jesus of Nazareth, extracted textually from the Gospels as interpreted by Thomas Jefferson, and better known as the Jefferson Bible. The reading is from chapter 11, entitled The Sermon on the Mount. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Remaining seated, please join in our centering hymn number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
Though I may speak with bravest fire, and have the gift to all inspire, and have not love, my words are vain, as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess, and striving so my love profess, but not be give my love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control, our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are freed.
The second reading is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same, and that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. I kept the first for another day, Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere, ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. We come now to the offering, recalling the purpose of the Unitarian Universalist Association to which we belong, to actively engage its members in the transformation of the world through liberating love. The offering then is gratefully given and gratefully received.
Morning. I'm Bill Brauch. My pronouns are he, his. Our fourth UU principle goes to the heart of what it means to be Unitarian Universalist, the right to engage in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The UUA's website includes an insightful reflection about this principle by the Reverend Paige Getty of the UU Congregation of Columbia, Maryland. She wrote, "As responsible religious seekers, we recognize that we are privileged to be free, to have resources to pursue life beyond mere survival, to continually search for truth and meaning, to exist beyond bonds of dogma and oppression, and to wrestle freely with truth and meaning as they evolve." Now, maybe like me, you don't spend your days contemplating existential questions such as, how did this universe arise? Why are we here? What are we to do to live a good life? What leads to true happiness? Such questions do not often jut to the forefront of conscious thought, but I know they color so much of my existence as I make my way through this life. For example, when I'm faced with a major decision, I try to determine the right thing to do. That right thing for which I'm searching absolutely arises from a moral compass that's guided by my personal search for truth and meaning. Now, when I was little, I didn't have far to search. My parents told me all they thought I needed to know about why we exist and what we are to do in this world. They came to it through the lens of Christian fundamentalism. They attended the aptly named Bible Church in Waukesha, Wisconsin. The chief tenet of the church is that the Bible is the inerrant Word of God, as communicated through his human vessels on earth. The message there, back in the early 60s, was clear. There is only one God, and there is only one true faith. The goal of life is to seek everlasting life in heaven, and the only way to accomplish that is to ask Jesus into your heart, by which you are born again, and also to recruit others to the faith. Of course, there were also a lot of thou shalt nots, including swearing, drinking, dancing, and coveting stuff you shouldn't covet, etc. A side note, my mom really preferred the Assembly of God Church, a charismatic Pentecostal congregation her parents attended, where folks sometimes spoke out in tongues. The few times Mom took me there, hearing folks shouting out unintelligible words of praise scared me. Now that congregation eventually got bigger and moved to a bigger location, and for a time after, the church building was the town community theater. Today, the site of that church is the home of, wait for it, the United Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Waukesha. I've been there, nice folks. Back to the Bible church. I generally enjoyed it there. A couple of grade school friends were there in my Sunday school classes. Dad drove the Sunday school bus, picking up kids here and there around town. I rode along. It was a good time with Dad, who, if you heard my reflection earlier this year, you know that he was disabled with serious depression. But he was able to function well in some aspects of life. Now, regarding Sunday school, I definitely did not buy everything they were selling, but it did make me think more about how this universe came to be. I did my best to be a good Sunday school student and to sit quietly with Mom and Dad during the service. But after I turned 12, things fell apart. First, an older cousin with whom I was close died in a motorcycle accident. Then our beloved dog died. Brownie was in the family before I was born, and he was my confidant. I would look into his beautiful face and tell him about my day. I really missed him. Then Dad started talking openly of suicide, to the point where Mom called her brother, my Uncle Bob, over to remove Dad's hunting rifles from the house. Dad was then hospitalized for some time. At the end of this came the transition to middle school. I was so hurt and confused by life that this big change was just one too many. Day after day, I'd go to school, I'd feel a pain in my stomach the first hour or so, and go to the school nurse. They'd call Dad, who was now back home as the stay-at-home parent, and he'd come to take me home. Over and over it went until I just stopped going. This was the beginning of a recurring problem with generalized anxiety disorder that has affected me on or off for most of my life since. My parents, distracted and distraught by their own problems, didn't know what to do. One day I learned that my Sunday school teacher told his class, I wasn't there that day, he told them that what I was doing and not going to school was wrong, and that the students should not be like Billy. This guy was our optometrist. Dad made him call and apologize to me, and he did, but the damage was done. From that point forward, there was no chance I was going back to that church. It turned out that even church was not a safe place. And that was that for me in Christian fundamentalism. Now, someday I may tell you how I emerged from all this to go on to do well in school, college, and law school, but that's a story for another day. Throughout my teens, I never lost the sense of wonder about creation and the meaning of our existence. In my late teens, I read a magazine article about Seals and Crofts, the pop folk duo. The story focused on their devotion to the Baha'i faith. The basic tenets of Baha'i are that all religions and people are essentially worthy, and that its adherents should strive for the elimination of racial, class, and religious prejudices. That sounded much more like the worldview of life that I was developing. I checked out a book from the public library about Baha'i. And while the basic tenets were attractive, some of the other aspects of it were not a good match for me, and I lost interest in pursuing it further. A number of years later, my next brush with religion was in the mid-1980s when I was at the University of Iowa College of Law and met the love of my life, Karen. She attended Sunday services held by the University Episcopal chaplain, Ron Osborne. My first time attending, Iowa Episcopal Bishop Walter Reiter gave the sermon. His focus that day was the farm crisis and its impact on rural Iowans. His basic message was that it needn't have happened but for the greed of big agriculture. Ryder's sermon really resonated with me, and the sermons in the weeks following from Reverend Osborne were even more in line with my worldview. During the Iran-Contra affair, for example, of the Reagan administration, Ron would open prayers every week by asking that the government finally tell us the truth about what they were doing. This was a revelation to me in my search for truth and meaning. Hey, church can be a place where we name injustice and demand it end. Now, after law school, Karen and I moved to Des Moines for employment, and on Ron's recommendation, began attending one of the local Episcopal churches. We continued to appreciate the liberal nature of the message and the tradition of the service, heralding back to the Anglican Church. It was comforting to repeat the same ancient mantras, albeit in modern language, week after week. We both joined the choir. I joined the Human Needs Committee, and over time, we both joined the church governing board. It was during this time that I learned about Thomas Jefferson's revision of the New Testament. His purpose in drafting it was to focus on what he viewed as the heart of the faith, the purported actual words of Jesus. Jefferson didn't write it to be published, but for his own devotional use. It begins with an account of Jesus' birth, but deletes all references to angels, genealogy, prophecy, miracles, the Trinity, the divinity of Jesus, and Jesus' resurrection. Now, I chose the chapter today featuring the Beatitudes, as I have always found them the most beautiful statement of the values that any faith community, indeed any person, should espouse. Here, Jesus is purported to have highlighted certain favored human qualities, including peacemaking and being meek, merciful, and pure. They are clearly meant to give hope to folks when times are tough, when they mourn a loss, when they are poor in spirit, which could be because they are simply poor and have lost hope. To me, the Beatitudes are the heart of the Christian faith. They are a description of the golden rule in practice. It is a part of the faith that I will always treasure. Being an Episcopalian was a wonderful experience, but about 25 years after joining, it became clear that the faith was no longer a good fit for where the three of us, now including our budding young scientist, Rachel, were in our individual searches for truth and meaning. For me, repeating rote statements of faith to which I no longer fully ascribed every Sunday felt hypocritical. I longed for a faith home with a liberal message that recognized and valued the beliefs of its members, whatever they happened to be. I found that here. Karen and I agreed that I would act as religious scout, attending a couple of churches, including this church, while she continued at St. Andrews. I would then report back. My first time here was in July 2015. 3 things stood out. The 7 principles seemed a perfect fit for us. Second, Mark Stringer's sermons were a no-holds-barred religious liberalism that really hit home. And third, a presentation by guest speakers seemed timed just to attract us. They were the wife-husband team of Connie Barlow and Michael Dowd. They talked about their philosophy, meshing science and religion. A Nobel Prize winner described Dowd's book, Thank God for Evolution, being written by, quote, someone who understands that all of reality is sacred and science is our method of comprehending it, end quote. We figured if this church wants to promote these speakers, it's the place for us. As many say when they discover Unitarian Universalism, hey, I've been a UU for years, I just didn't know it. Add me to that crowd. I want to return for a moment to the UUA piece by Reverend Paige Getty about the 4th principle that I quoted earlier. She also wrote, this privilege to freely search for truth and meaning calls us not to be isolated and self-centered, believing that our single perspective trumps all others, but rather to be humble, to be open to the great mysteries of truth and meaning that life offers. And those mysteries may speak to us through our own intuition and experience, but also through tradition, community, conflict, nature, and relationships. Now, some of us may have moved away from the organized Christian faith or another organized faith, but that does not imply that we think we know better. Rather, we simply strive to be free to pursue our own religious journey free of external constraints. Now, regarding Frost's famous poem, I know there's much more to it, but what first meets the eye is the notion that nonconformity can be a very good thing. My take on it is that having the freedom to choose is what makes the difference. We are faced with some pretty difficult choices in life. Whom to marry or to marry at all, whether to have children, whether to take this job or another, where to live. Add to that list determining what your faith is, if any, and how and where to practice it. These are all heady decisions and are affected by circumstance, such as income and other factors. But choosing to be a nonconformist for nonconformity's sake in making them could turn out really bad. Going against the flow may have downsides, but it's a choice we can freely make. And it may lead to revelations and experiences that one would not have experienced, but for going down the untrodden path. I think the key is knowing yourself and being true to yourself. Now, the older I get, the more I hurt when I get up after sitting down for a while. But I also know myself better at this age, I think. In my search for truth and meaning, after 60 years with the organized Christian faith, I decided to go down a different path. But down that path, I found I can still love what I valued about Christianity while continuing to grow in my faith journey. And that has indeed made all the difference.
Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 1017 in the Teal hymnal, "We Are Building a New Way." We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world would die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
Please join in our chalice extinguishing words found in your order of service. We extinguish this chalice, and creation's hand continues to hold us always in a love that cannot fade, an awareness that each life is all life.
In simplicity, find and walk the path that leads to compassion and wisdom, that leads to happiness, peace, and ease. Welcome the stranger and open your heart to a world in need of healing. Be courageous before the forces of hate. Hold and embody a vision of the common good that serves the need of all people.